Well, I'm gonna move to Shane right now because he's the closest thing to an expert that we have in the room, unless I've missed somebody out here. He actually has had to deal with watershed issues down in Pulaski County, and I'm not sure if it is to the extent of what you've heard us speculate here, but he's a justice down in Pulaski County, and I'm sure he'll have a number of things to share with us. So with that, I'll bump it over to Shane.
Thank you. I'm going to stand up if that's okay.
That's sure.
I like to stand up and move around a little bit when I'm talking. I wrote down a lot of notes to make sure to kind of introduce what I know, but feel free to pull out the wooden hook, because I'm a guest here. I'm in y'all's living room.
I guess that means you're going to talk a whole long time.
Well, no. I can get going, especially when I'm talking about this.
This is going to be free-flowing right now.
If you feel sort of a cold building rage over what you're hearing, then you're feeling the right thing. And that leads to passion for me when I'm talking about it. So if I just keep going and going, just rein me in. But first of all, thanks for having me out. Some of what I'm going to talk about on the Lake Maumelle Watershed will directly apply to the Blueway situation, and some of it won't. So I'll just share what I know and what's applicable. Hopefully it'll be applicable, and what's not, then, have a little bit of leeway with me, because I'm not really up to speed on the Blueway myself. I'm just now starting to learn about it. But just think about it for a second. Was it Riggs? Randy? It's like you said. They tried to do the same thing in Pulaski County. If you're against this awful, freedom-eroding, offensive legislation, then you're against clean water, which is, once you dig into it and actually do research, this is all my stuff just on the watershed, none of it holds water, no pun intended. It just doesn't hold water. The data doesn't hold water. So think about it. Do you think it's a coincidence they named it a Blueway? How inoffensive and friendly does Blueway sound? So automatically, if you go, hey, I'm against this Blueway, you're a nut, automatically. Same thing if you're against bicycle paths. But guess what? Bicycle paths are part of UN Agenda 21 because they're trying to get people off of their own private transportation, and they need to have the bicycle paths in place once they accomplish that. But at UN Agenda 21, what it basically comes down to, and this Blueway stuff, it sounds like it's directly tied in, and I know that the Lake Maumelle Watershed it's giving land more rights than people. And there may be certain areas in the world where that flies, but legally and philosophically, that don't fly in the United States of America. Now, they're trying. But they don't fly. But they'll try. It's just like Randy said. They won't take it outright. They'll find all these other little ways so that it's like they put you in this. They're just constantly tying you one more little rope, and pretty soon they're controlling you, even though they didn't outright violate, the fundamental law or whatever. So I just made a few notes here, and then I'll sit down, and I guess we'll go into the panel thing. First of all, what's happening in the watershed? I don't know if it's happening in the Blueway, but they're basically trying to get eminent domain without enacting eminent domain. Now, let me explain to you what I mean. If you are a landowner in the Lake Maumelle Watershed, what the watershed means, all a watershed is it's a designated area where rain that falls in that area feeds into a drinking water supply. That's what a watershed is. And one of the reasons, among many, that I've fought the land use plan in Lake Maumelle so hard is because I think there's 4 watersheds in Arkansas. So whatever we do in Pulaski County could be used as precedent for these other watersheds and then across the United States, and et cetera, et cetera. So, what you're doing here tonight, fighting this Blueway, isn't just about one little stretch of water. I mean, there's a whole philosophical ripple effect that can go out nationwide and even worldwide, because what the heck, why are we having to fight a United Nations agenda anyway, right? So even if we win this fight, there's such a deeper issue that we have to deal with. But enough of that. What we're talking about, when I say it's eminent domain without being eminent domain, imagine this. You're a landowner. You've been on your land forever, or maybe you just bought it. Either way, it doesn't matter. Either you've been a great steward of your land, and by the way, the Lake Maumelle Watershed, every time they test it, is some of the cleanest, purest, most drinkable water in the United States. And all the data shows that it is not under threat, and any amount of development that might happen in the next 20, 30 years doesn't threaten it. But it doesn't matter. When you pull out the data and they just blow it off and keep going, they have an agenda beyond protecting the water. It's not about protecting the water. It's not. It's just like Obamacare really isn't about health care. But if you oppose it, then you want people to die, right? So they want to make you look bad for fighting it. So, but imagine this. You have land, and you do certain things on this land that enact these land use plan rules. Then they come along, and by the way, it's not a government entity. It's not an elected official. It's a utility. It's Central Arkansas Water, a utility telling you what you can and can't do on your land. Unelected, appointed people. They have no responsibility to the people. Okay? And so that right there should be troubling enough, even if everything else about the plan was okay, which it's not. But they come along and tell you you've triggered certain actions. You have to take 25% of your land, 25%, set it aside. You can't touch it. You can't mow it. I guess if you're lucky, you can walk across it. But you got to pay taxes on 100% of your land. Now tell me how that's not eminent domain, but without being eminent domain. In fact, it's even worse because you're not being compensated, and you have to pay taxes on lands you can't even